Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a special episode of Random Encounters, a show where I use random encounter tables like you find in tabletop role-playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them together with an very good electronic die roller to randomly pick a who and a what, and I put them together, and I draw that as a cartoon for your entertainment and mine. I do this because drawing is fun for me, and I want to help it be fun for you too. So I hope that you will grab your favorite drawing implements, pen and paper, crayons and newspaper, your electronic drawing equipment, which is what I use. I'll grab that in a second. Whatever. Just draw for the fun of it. You can draw the same thing I'm drawing, or draw whatever you like. Draw something you see around you in the room. Draw your pet or your family member. Or grab a mirror and draw yourself. Or just draw whatever's in your head. Do it for the fun of it. Now, usually, I am recording this live, and there may be some people who stop in to see. But on the Thursday night where this shows up, I won't be here live. I'm recording this ahead of time because I'm going to be at Gamehole Con in Madison, Wisconsin this coming weekend. And while this is live, I will be there. So if you're going to be there too, look me up. Come and say hi. I'll be around. I don't have any events. I'm not there as a guest. But I will be hanging around with my friends who are guests and just kind of enjoying the con. Now, if you've gotten this far, you saw the intro slide, you will know that this is a special event. This is a special week. I do these special things for holidays, and this is a me holiday because when I'm recording this in a couple of days, when you're watching this yesterday, it's my 60th birthday. 60-year-old Stan, can you believe it? And I know for a lot of you, not so hard to look at the gray, look at all that. I don't feel it. Maybe it's the drawing that helps keep me young. I don't know. But that special is a birthday special for me. So if I come over here, I'm doing all my drawing on my iPad Pro using the app Procreate. Sorry, I'm losing my touch as I look at this. The Apple Pencil. None of this is sponsored. No sponsorship. Not because I don't want one, because I don't have one. But I name these things because people ask what tools I use. Those are the tools I use. I use for my fun drawing, I use for my professional drawing, and I use for this show. So, let's dive into it, shall we? Let me come over here to the big control board and click this button. It's my birthday, and so I've decided that all the who's are me. I am the subject this week. Stan is the who. The question is what? What is Stan going to be doing on his birthday? So let's hop over to our die roller and find out. Dive in and see. So we're going to roll 3 times as we usually do just to make sure we get it right. Once and twice. The third time is a 4. So the 4 is, I could roll it for the who. I mean, I made a table for it. So let's see, the who might be 1. So a 1 and a 4. So let's say the first one was a 4. 4 who? That's Stan. Stan is our who. Thank you, Crafty Village. Crafty Village has wished me a happy birthday. I appreciate that. Thank you for popping in on this surprise recording here on a weekend. And the 1 for the who is Dragonrider. So it's Stan Dragonrider is our first subject. I'm going to turn off the image. I'm going to come over here to the sketch layer. Make sure I turn on the proper pen. And I like to do my sketching in blue. Let's do it. Stan as a Dragonrider. And I already have an idea what I want for this. So I draw myself a lot. I'm a pretty easy target. I have a lot of experience drawing me. Usually, if you... that's not working out. I have myself backwards. Usually, if you're an artist and particularly a cartoonist, you probably will have a version of yourself that you have come to over the years. It's you know what? Sometimes the interesting thing about that is that sometimes it is a very good likeness, and sometimes it's just how you see yourself. Um, and it may not be correct, or it may, people may argue, you don't look like that. People may say that looks exactly like you, and I don't know which is better, really. All right, so my version of me, I show you right now. My version of me, I base it off a round head, where I got eyes and a nose up there, my smile, and my beard going around there. And I have wide cheeks, not quite as wide as they used to be. Like I say, it's not, but I do like to. I don't want to be accused of drawing myself too skinny, so I often draw myself too fat. But I think that on the whole, it's kind of pretty close. So this is my basic me, which you will have seen many times. We don't need that right now, but I thought I'd let you see that. Like I say, I've done it. I've done it so many times. It's not at all a problem. How did that happen? Okay, there we go. All right, so we're back here, and Stan the Dragonrider. Got to have a helmet. All right, that's looking good. I'm going to move that up to the middle of the page a little, just so that there's some room. I can maybe enlarge it a bit. There we go. And I'll come up to the lines layer and switch over there. Now, I would say start with what you're most confident in, and I'm super confident drawing myself. So let's start there. I'm not sure. Right now I got a big wide-eyed look, and I think what I really would like is a nonplussed kind of yeah. So that's I guess one of the tricks of doing quick cartooning, or one of the things you learn after doing a lot of cartooning, is to have in your tool belt just a bunch of standard shapes and expressions, and a lot of that has to do with having standard eyes and mouth shapes. And this mouth shape I've got here is one of them, and it's there are some that everyone knows about, right? If you're going to draw a mouth, if you're going to be drawing people, you need to have some kind of basic smile shape, some kind of basic angry shape, some kind of shocked or surprised shape. But the subtler emotions, like being nonplussed or gonna oh well, those are different ones. So this mouth shape here, that kind of sideways Z or 2. See, if you turn it around, you can see that's like a Z or a 2. That's a good kind of for a pursed, like a hmm. And if you have that in your pocket, then it makes it easier to give your drawings some extra emotion, some extra zing. I had the ear here, and I'm realizing that if I'm going to put a helmet on myself, I don't want to have my ear out. I want to have the helmet over that part. But here we go. And then got Stan. Now I got a big belly. Yes, I do. And one of the things I do, not to get too personal, but the way I carry my weight. And I see in this shot that you see me in most often here, you might not guess that I am as heavy as I am because I carry my weight in my middle section. I got a belly and I got a booty. Kind of proud of that. So when I draw my body, it can sometimes, I know it's not going to be a fat in a big round way, but it's definitely, what I'd like to do is have more of a, I'm just kind of tripping over this. If I did this on both sides, that would be about my body size, which is not big enough. But if I do that as the back and then I put a belly on it, that is better for what I want to capture. And then just to add to the feeling of roundness. So I often talk about adding shade under, and I will later add shade underneath it. But I don't want to add it on the top and the bottom. So just a couple of little lines at the top help to promote that feeling of roundness. And here I've got the saddle for the dragon. Now let's get to this poor dragon who's wound up having to carry Stan. You see, it's a variation on my usual dragon. This whole thing's getting a little, going on the funny side. But you see, I often, when I talked before about doing dragons, I generally start with them with some kind of triangularish shaped head and a snaky neck. And then the body will depend on what kind of dragon I'm doing. But here again, you can see that I have basically a triangular shaped head for that dragon. And our dragon's got his claws out. Just a little heavier than this dragon was expecting. Now I was going to have him holding reins, but I think I'll instead one of the D&D worlds that I'm most known for having worked on is Dragonlance. So I will give myself a lance that I'm holding here. I have to clean that up. Those fingers are no longer working. They work pretty well. On their own, but with the lance, not so much. There we go. Looking okay. Feeling sorry for the dragon. But that's really the point, isn't it? Isn't it? I think so. Alright, so now I added these last before, but I guess before I go in with anything else, with the rest of the dragon's body, I'm going to put his wings back here. We had a discussion, I think this was on an earlier episode here. Yeah, I'm remembering now. About whether or not it has to have wings to be a dragon. Because I had one. I don't remember where it was. I don't know whether I was talking with artists or fans or just a friend somewhere. I'd drawn a picture of a dragon, what I intended to be a dragon, but it didn't have wings, and they said to me that if it's going to be a dragon, it has to have wings. I'm not sure I believe that, but in this case, if I'm going to be a Dragonrider, it's going to be a flying dragon. There we go. Now, some of these details are going to be a little hard to read just looking at the lines, but when I add color, you'll see what's going on there. Okay, let's take the lines off and sketch out and see what we got here. So, little underdone. I was so confident about what I was doing on the face, I didn't really finish what I was drawing. That eye didn't come out looking quite like I wanted it to. This cheek, not quite out there enough to be my me. There we go. Okay. Alright, that's looking pretty good. We had a few extra scales on the dragon. Finish up a little detail on the... Yeah, wow, yeah, I hit those really fast. Look at that. You have to be okay with that for a quick drawing, to not have all the details you want. But with the sketch underneath, I got a little overconfident in what I was showing. All right, so we got our dragon here. We could give him a frazzle. Maybe we'll do that in color. We'll see how that turns out. All right, looking pretty good. Let's go in and we'll switch over to the gloaming brush, which I like to use for my coloring because it gives me that crayon-y, marker-y feeling, and it lets me... Oh no, I'm on the wrong layer. Get those out of there. I got to go to the color layer. And it lets me do my shape within a shape style of quick coloring that helps add a sense of shape and texture, despite there not really being any. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've got very blue eyes. So I'm going to go in here with a blue. Now, the nice thing about me being turning 60 is that, yeah, my beard and hair is basically just white. Although some of the other drawings that I will end up doing, I'll show you what I do for my hair. Because my hair, you see, not white, it's still kind of some gray, brownish, steel-colored mixed in with the white. Beard, white. Hello, Dale. Thank you very much. Thank you for the birthday wishes. So, here we go. I'm going to pick a grayish blue as the main color. No, I want to do my shape within a shape thing. Then that's the shape. That belly. There's another chance for me to accentuate that round belly shape as being separate from the top of the chest shape. And we'll do the leg in the same kind of armor. I'll go a little darker gray for the shoulder pads, the greaves, shoulder armor, and the knee armor, and I didn't put a strap on the ankle. I wanted to put a strap on the ankle. So here I'm doing it backwards. I'm going to put the color in first and then come back and add the lines to go with it. All right, back to the coloring. And then I'm going to want to do, this helmet's going to need at least 2 colors on it to work well. So we'll do that for the piping, shall we say. I'm not quite sure exactly what I want to call it. And then maybe, you know what, I'm going to change to a different kind of, I'm going to go to a red gray rather than a blue gray for the, I'm doing it on the wrong layer again. I hate when I do that. I'm not going to bother erasing those, but you can see here I've colored over the lines because I put that gray on the wrong color, on the wrong layer. Alright, and then I'm going to do a darker version of this. Because that's set back, I want it to be a darker color. And maybe something closer to the red for the spikes on his back. Okay. Now, for the gloves, I'm going to do, this is what I do for kind of a soft leather tan. It's a brownish yellow. Or a yellowish brown, depending on how you want to look at it. But I want dark brown leather for the boots. That's a soft leather versus a hard leather in those 2 colors. And you want to think about that when you're doing coloring, right? You can't put all the detail in all the time, so you have to hint at it sometimes and find a way to hint that although these are both leather, there is a difference in them. And then I'll use a different kind of brown for the saddle leather. See, that's more of that's an orangey brown, but the other 2 are blue. Like we have blue grays and red grays we used before. You've got a more reddish brown and a more orangish brown. The more you color, the more you will see that how artists talk about these reddish browns and greenish browns, and if you're not doing drawing, you probably don't understand what that means. But it just takes a little bit of playing around with this, particularly if you've got a digital tool that lets you play with the color wheel to see the difference between, everything over here in this section is gray, no matter what color. I don't know if you can look in close enough. This little circle here, that's gray. No matter what color we're basing it on, it's gray. But the kind of gray it is will change depending on what color we're looking at. And that's what artists have been talking about all these years. Okay. How am I doing on the time? Sometimes I get to talking and I forget that it costs me time to do that. And while it doesn't really matter, the show can be as long as it needs to. Today, I actually do have an appointment to get to after the show, so I gotta. No. I've gotta not be a little mindful of how much time I'm taking. Alright, so now the question is, what color dragon? Hey, folks in the chat right now. We got Dale and JJ. Hey, JJ. Thank you for joining. I'm old. Yes, I am. It's true. It's true. I'm old. But you know what? It sure beats the other option of not being old. Not getting. Yeah. Eventually, you got to get there. So, what color dragon should I make this? Very often we have red dragons or blue dragons, but this could be any old color. And I'm going to move on here while give you a chance to say that. I know that no matter what color the dragon is, I'm going to want a little bit of yellow in the eyes, and I'm going to want the tongue to be purple. These things I know. And so yeah, let me know what color the dragon should be. Otherwise, I'm just going to choose. Let me pause here and take a little sip. I'm looking here. I got a lot of blues in my armor. I got red and yellows on the lance. Right now, I'm leaning towards maybe a green dragon, but a blue dragon might work too. Red dragon, I think, just because of the lance, I don't think I want to make it a red dragon, but I could. If you guys have any thoughts on the matter, this is your time to speak up, because I'm going to wait another 20 seconds or so, and then I got to go. Got to move forward. All right. Here we go. No one's saying anything, so I'm going to go with the green dragon. I'm going to grab... That seems to be about the right color. Green. Again, the shape within the shape. Some of them are easy to see because of the line. Some of them you got to look a little harder for. But the more you work like that, and as I say, you can do this even if you're not coloring digitally. If you're coloring with colored pencils or markers or crayons, this kind of coloring can be very effective to just make your the coloring you're doing a little more, a little fancier, a little more impressive. And everyone worries about filling all of the space, but I think you'll agree. It looks pretty good. Green is good, says David. Hello, David. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. And we're going to color up here, shape within a shape. And I'm going to come back. I want a darker version of that, a significantly darker version of that to do the scales. I want those to really stand out. The scales and the claws. Less important, but a nice little effect. And then I want a lighter version of that for the belly. Now, with drawing digitally, it's very easy to do that, to get that lighter and darker version of the same color. If you are coloring with a particularly colored pencils and crayons to a lesser extent, you can get that effect just by how hard you press, or maybe how many times you color over the spot. Instead of just going over it once, go over it again. And you can create light and dark and medium shades of a color using just one pencil or one crayon. It's certainly more detailed and more effective if you're doing it digitally and you're actually picking other colors. But it works. It works fine. All right, let's throw some shading on here and move on, because we got more drawings to do. So I'm picking, again, a darker version. Not as dark as I did for the scales, but darker than I did for the basic colors. To put a little shading on the underside. Again, this is adding just a bit of feeling of texture. And three-dimensionality to what is clearly a very two-dimensional drawing. Okay, from there, I think I'm going to actually take the light, so I can do it in two versions. Now I got a light one, I can just add a little darker version of the light one to do that there. Look at that. And then come back to the birthday dragon knight here, Dragonrider. And undersides, anywhere there's a crease or a fold, you can just put a little darker version of it to create that shadowy impression. All right. I think. Oh no! Just realized that. Come on, there we go. Realize that I do want to. If I'm going to do all that, I'm going to need to do it for the lance as well. And there we have it. You know what I want to do? I'll tell you what I want to do. Usually I don't worry at all about the background, but here I'm going to come in and grab a gray. I'm going to put it just underneath where the dragon is touching the ground. And my shoes. To make it, to really increase that feeling that it's sitting on the ground. I don't know. I think, I look at that and I think that makes a really big difference. Whereas if I just take those out, put them on, get out of there. Yeah, so that's fine. Sure, he could be flying though. But if I go ahead and put those in there, that definitely increases that feeling that that I want to get, that he is just crushed under the weight of that Dragon Rider. So I will come back and go to my inking level and the lines level, inking pen lines level, put a little stand here in the corner. Don't like that S. There we go. Got a little stand, and we have. Oh, you know what I didn't do? We have just in a second. We will have. I didn't get a little. Didn't do the shading for the skin. There we go. That's it. Oh boy, is that it. You get to be an artist, and suddenly these little things, it was going to bug me if I didn't go back and put that in. Now, there we go. We've got our Dragonrider Stan. Got a question for me. How did I get to be Stan with an exclamation point rather than Stan without one? Well, that is a fun story. Let's get started with the next drawing, and I will start that. Sometimes that story takes me half an hour to tell. Sometimes not. But there we go. There's our first drawing. So we finished the first drawing. It is Stan the Dragonrider. I'm going to turn that off now and go over to round 2. And turn back on our encounter tables and see what we roll for our second drawing. Let's do another drawing, and I will tell you, as I draw it, the story of how I became Stan, with an exclamation point. There, see my nice little birthday drawing background? All right, so here we go. The Who, once and twice and third time, 2. 2 is our Who, and once and twice and third time, 3. 3 is our what? So we'll come back here. And we've got 2 is, oh, lo and behold, 2 is Stan. I'm the subject again. How did that happen? 3 is Stan Dungeon Master. Okay, so now the big question is whether I want to go literal, and I thought of this when I put it on, literal in the gaming table, me playing the game and being the Dungeon Master, or try and remember what the Dungeon Master from the D&D cartoon looked like. Well, you know what? That's a real insider joke. Let's just go with the regular one. Okay. So, as I start to draw here, why am I Stan with an exclamation point? Well, the first thing you need to know is that my name is not Stan. None of my names are Stan or Stanley. My given name is Stephen. And I did all of my, all the first part of my life as Stephen. Did my first publishing, Stephen. And that was all great. In college, I was dating a very nice young lady named Judy, as it turns out, and for Valentine's Day, I wanted to send some flowers. I wanted to do something nice for her because that's the kind of nice boyfriend I am, or when I am a boyfriend. No one to fill that role right now, but that's a different story. So I went to the one of the should I? I've got to figure it out. Right now, I've got myself with a look of wonder. I could alternatively give myself a look of the evil Dungeon Master, as I don't want to be evil. Yes, so I went to order these flowers. One of the fraternities on campus had a thing where they were saying that we will deliver flowers on campus on Valentine's Day, half a dozen roses for some, ridiculously cheap price for roses. As I'm not saying I was cheap. I'm saying that that's the benefit you get. Anyway, getting away from the story. So I go to buy the to order the roses, and I give them Judy's name and address on campus, and they say, great, and they hand me a little piece of pink paper and said, here, write a note on this and we'll deliver it with the flowers. So I did. I wrote, Dear Judy, Happy Valentine's Day, I love you very much, and I signed it. I have a very distinctive signature when I sign as Stephen, which is very different from how I sign as Stan, purposely. But it's not the easiest to read, which is how the story then falls apart. So I'm going to switch and start doing lines now. So Valentine's Day rolls around, and I decide, because I grew up watching sitcoms from the 60s and 70s, that I'm going to pretend that I forgot that it's Valentine's Day. And just because it'll be funny then when flowers are delivered. And so we go about our day, and I guess I want to keep this a short version of the story, so that we go throughout our day and we meet up for lunch and dinner. But and she doesn't say anything about getting any flowers, and I think, should I? Because I've got a gift and a card that I'm going to give her after the flowers are delivered. So I think, should I just give it to her? I'm like, no. They purposely said that they were going to order. They're going to have a lot of these, and they would get to everyone. It might go into the evening. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to worry about this. We're supposed to get together and study that evening. So I won't say anything. Even at dinner, we're at dinner at the dining hall, and it's a special meal, and the place is kind of all done up with fancy like red blurs over the lighting, and I'm playing dumb. I'm totally playing dumb. She's dropping hints, and her roommate's dropping hints, and I can see that they're becoming less and less impressed with me as a boyfriend as it goes along. But it's going great. Now we had only been dating for about 3 months at that point, 3 or 4 months. So I'm thinking, this is going perfect. So I come to her. I say we're supposed to get together and study at their room that evening. And I figured, well, after dinner, before I get there, the flowers will be delivered. I can show up and get a little thank you kiss. I can give her the gifts I've got, and everything will be okay. And so I get there, and I knock on the door, and I hear, "Oh, just a minute." And I think, okay, it's the flowers have arrived, and she's got something nice for me, and I'll get a little kiss, and it'll be fine. And she opens the door, and she and her roommate are standing there, having towels wrapped around their heads, and they've just put on their sweats and robes. And, yeah, we had lab this afternoon. We had to shower. So sorry. We needed to make sure we were okay before we let you in. And I come in, and there's no flowers there. None. No flowers whatsoever. And I think, they said they were going to do it. I'm like, no, they said that it might take into the evening. So now I will just, I will, I'll be here when they arrive, and I'll have the gifts, and it'll be great. Because they're not mad at me anymore. Not that they're saying. So I'm waiting. And we start studying, and 8 o'clock goes by, and no flowers. And 9 o'clock goes by, and no flowers. And 10 o'clock goes by, and no flowers. And I know that that's when they lock the door to the dorms. So there's no way anything's going to get delivered after that. So a little bit after 10, I just kind of stop and I say, "Hey, Judy, I'm really sorry. I wanted to surprise you. I ordered you some flowers for Valentine's Day," and I pull out the card and the gift, and I say, "I was waiting till they showed up so I could surprise you. That was the whole point, was to surprise you. And I'm sorry it didn't work out. I didn't mean to make you think. Well, I didn't mean to make you think I forgot, but I wanted it to play out all fun, and it didn't. But here's a card and present. Happy Valentine's Day." And she says, "Oh no, we were." We were out. Let's say we had lab this afternoon, and then we didn't even come back before we went to dinner. I'm sure we must have missed whoever. Oh, that's so sweet. And hey, wait a second. You're Stan? And I said, "Oh," and she opens up the closet to opens up her closet, and in there, thrown on the floor, are half a dozen roses and a blue heart-shaped note that is written in calligraphy that says, "Dear Judy, happy Valentine's Day. I love you very much, Stan." Because they had taken my note, which I wrote and signed with my incomprehensible scribble, and they looked at it, because most of the notes are very legible, and they get to the sign, they go, "Must be Stan." And so it very clearly says, "Happy Valentine's Day, I love you, Stan." And about 10 minutes before I showed up, they had been delivered. And when I knocked on the door, she and her roommate had been standing there, and the roommate saying, "Who's Stan?" She's like, I don't know. I said, "What? Why is he sending you flowers and telling you he loves you?" It's like, I don't know. "Steven's gonna kill you." I know. So when I knocked on the door, they threw it in the closet and hoped that there would be no reason for them to have to go in the closet while I was in the room visiting. And so we laughed about this. This is very funny, and my friends started referring to. I was doing a cartoon for the campus newspaper at the time, and they started referring to my art as the art of Stan. "Hey, have you seen that? Hey, Steve, have you seen the cartoon this Stan guy's doing? It's pretty good, don't you think?" And haha, funny. And that was all well and good. And they started calling me Stan. It quickly got to the point where that was just my nickname, Stan. And one of those people was a guy named Ed Stark, who I was good friends with. And he wound up working at West End Games and being instrumental in me getting the opportunity to get into the gaming industry. So when I showed up at West End Games, I got hired, and I was going to arrive, and he actually had a couple of friends who were working there at the time. They hired Steve Brown to come in and be an editor and graphic designer. And the day before I showed up, my friends started saying, "Stan's coming tomorrow, Stan's coming tomorrow." So when I showed up, they said to me, the other people said, "Hey, so Ed and Bill say Stan, and it says here Steve. What's going on?" So I tell them the story. West End Games had about 15 people working at it. I could sit them all down in one place and tell them the story. Everyone understood. Ed gets a job, and actually Ed and Bill and a couple of other people I know at West End now wind up working at TSR. So, when I get hired there, very similar thing happens. Steve Brown interviews for the job. Steve Brown gets hired, and the day before I show up, my friends all say, "Stan's coming tomorrow. Stan's coming tomorrow." And so I show up, and the people at TSR say, "Hey, Steve, Stan, what's the deal?" And I say, "Oh, well, here, let me tell you." Now, TSR had about 150 people working for it, and I wound up having to tell the story multiple times, which I don't mind. It's a fun story. It's a good story. I like this story a lot. But I never was able to tell. There were people that worked there that never got this story, and this was not a problem, except that I was publishing as Stephen Brown. All my credits were Stephen Brown. You see the early work I did at West End, and the early work at all the work I did at West End, and the early work I did on D&D and at TSR um, was credited as Stephen Brown. I'm going to pause for a minute here. I told you I was going to talk about my hair. So I used the gloaming brush, even in my regular coloring, to be able to put in some stripes of dark into the white here to try to simulate this gray, and it's not really salt and pepper. It's more like leather and pepper. I don't know, kind of a gray-brown color, but that's what I will do to do that. Now, that's a little closer to looking like my color. Anyway, I leave the beard fully white here. I leave the bottom of the hair fully white. But that's how I get that effect. So, so I was working at TSR. I told most of the people. Told the people I worked closely with. A lot of people knew. Some people didn't know. The bigger problem is that there was another guy whose name was Steve Brown working in the game industry. Working for White Wolf. And he did freelance for TSR, mainly in the form of Dungeon Magazine or Dungeon and Dragon Magazine articles. And I had a problem where everyone called me Stan. Everyone called me Stan, which was not a problem. I didn't mind. That was my nickname. But the problem was that one time I had a freelance check that just wasn't showing up. And I went to ask the person that ran freelance, because at TSR you could, although you worked in-house, they also gave you freelance work. Yeah, that's a separate story as to why that is, a bigger story that we tell on my other podcast, 50 Years in the Dungeon. Heard that discussed on at least a couple of occasions there. So I went to the guy that hands the freelance out and said, hey, I haven't gotten my check for X or Y. And he's like, oh, it's been sent out. It's probably, if it doesn't show up by the end of the month, let me know and I'll have it canceled and we'll cut you another check. And in the meanwhile, I got a letter from this other Steve Brown telling me that he had gotten my check sent to him. Or I guess he contacted TSR to tell them that they'd sent him a check that for an article he didn't write. And that's when we all figured out, oh, they sent my check to him because they think of me as Stan. So I've got to either make everyone start calling me Steve so they realize it, or start doing my credits as Stan, and then it'll, get the check will still get cut to what I need it to be cut, but they'll know it's me, and they won't send my check to someone else. And so I did. I started out. I didn't want to confuse people, so for the first year or so, I did things credited as Stephen, quotation mark, Stan Brown, and then I segued to just Stan. That turned out to be the only real mistake. I should have just gone straight to Stan and not worried about it. Because as it turns out, I wrote some of my most popular products in that year. And so, whereas I want those to just kind of disappear and just Stan to be around, a lot of people see the Dragonlance Bestiary and the Guide to Palanthas, and I think even the Fate deck product all came out that year and had Steven Stan Brown in it. And so it's been a struggle it was a struggle for a long time for me to get people, because I don't want it to mix. I don't want the Stan and the Steven are separate. Not like they're separate people, but it's a pen name, and it works just as a pen name. But I don't want to be Stan Brown everywhere, because Stan Brown is Stan is a personality. That's my personality, Stan. So, yeah. So, that's the story. Now, I know there have been some comments in the chat while I'm doing this, but I've been drawing, so I haven't looked at them. So, let me finish up this. Things are coming along here. Got Stan, Dungeon Master. We're doing time-wise. Okay. Looking pretty good. Okay, let's call that good. Move along. Stan, Dungeon Master. Beep 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 boop. I think I maybe need to make an audio tag so I can just hit a button. Sign it down here at the bottom, and we've got our Stan Dungeon Master drawing. All right. I'm going to take a quick look at what's going on here. Harvard Blackmore, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Harvard, oh, Frosta, it's you. Oh, hello. Thank you for coming in, saying hi. Happy birthday from Leon Shadle. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Awesome story says that, yeah, it's a good story. Like, a lot of people have nicknames, and the answer is something like, when I was a kid, I couldn't pronounce blah blah, so they gave me that nickname. Or, I wore someone else's T-shirt, so they gave me that nickname. This is a fun story, and like I say, that's kind of a fast version while I'm concentrating on someone else. I've been telling this story for 35 years. I tell this story well. This was not my best version of it, but. Yeah, that is the story. For a long time, I would only tell it at conventions and other live places. I would not write it down or tell it somewhere that was being recorded. Just as a thing. I said it was to protect the innocent, to protect Judy. I didn't want to. I'm not going to tell the girl's name. She's involved, but a long time ago. And she said it was okay. Damn it, Victor. Technically, it was Stan who said he loved her. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But no one called me. It became true. It wasn't true at the moment. At that moment, Stan had not said anything. I later became... So it must have been me from the future saying that I loved her. And I do. I do still love her. We're still friends to this day. So, yes. Worked out fine. At that moment, wasn't true. I thought I was a big fan of you in the WASI days, but at this time I had no idea you were a TSR alum or previously worked at WEG. Yeah, well, it's sometimes, back in the day, it was hard to find out facts about people. Now, if you are a fan, why would you go back and look? You want to look going forward. But thank you very much. Stan Poseur. Actually have a D&D Products, as David, D&D Products website, so this is a fun story, actually useful. Okay, yeah. There you go. Go ahead, check it out. You'll find a series of Steven Stan Brown products, and then a bunch of Steven Brown products, which the difference is I am the other guy publishes as Stephen C. Brown. My middle initial is not C. So let me take one more sip, and then we'll go on. Again, I need to make sure that I'm timely on this because I have somewhere to be after that. In fact, if you heard that ping sound, is my reminder that I have an appointment in an hour. But let's close up round 2. And open round 3. Turn back on our encounter tables. And let's do one more time, one more drawing here on my birthday show. So we will go over to the dice and roll them one more time, once and twice and third time. 3 is the who, and once and twice and third time, 2. 2 is the what. So we'll come back here, and 3 is, oh, it's Stan. Stan is our subject. And 2 is Stan Necromancer. Okay. Which one? 4 stands enter, 1 stand leaves. Okay, Stan Necromancer. This is the one that I was most uncertain of how it was going to work out. So we'll see. Turn that off and come here. Make sure we got our pens on. Okay. Stan Superhero would have been fun too. But here we go. Stan Necromancer. So again, my basic shape. I think we're going to do a head-on look this time. I'm going to be casting some kind of necromantic spell. I'm going to hold a staff of necromantic staff of some sort. I'm going to have it. Definitely get a big angry look because I'm a necromancer here, man. Give myself a big necromantic hat. Cape. There we go. So easy. You know, as I say, the nice thing, the easy thing for me about picking myself as a subject is I'm so familiar with drawing me that makes this sketch phase very, very fast. And I can very easily see the details, more details than would be noticeable. I would need to go in with more lines and sketchy stuff for a subject I wasn't quite so familiar with. All right, there we go. There's Necromancer Stan. Got a staff with a skull on the top. I've got an amulet of something or other. I'm going to be casting a spell. I've got a big hat with demon horns on it. What a scary guy. Necromancer Stan, off to the races. All right, so again, I usually will start with eyes. All other things considered, those are very often my starting point. Got to make sure that these little fill function is so useful, but you need to be sure that you've closed off the shape if you want to use it. There we go. Looking pretty good. I'll leave the top of that hat. Since it's going to be interacting with that arm and hand, I will leave it for a bit. Necromancer Stan is hard at work casting a spell. I don't feel like seeing Stan as a necromancer is going to live up to hearing about how Stan rolls as a real romancer. Yeah, well, yay, hey, hey. I'm a lover, not a fighter. I'm a lover, not a spellcaster. But in this case, I'm a spellcaster. Here again, I'm going to put those little rolls at the top to help increase that sense that it's not just a flat shape, that it's going to be thinner on the top and wider at the belly. And I also put in here to, again, give that feeling of belliness. That's not a real word, but it is now. Okay. Having done that, let's come back here up to the head. My fancy Necromancer hat. And let's see, we're going to have an amulet down here. I was just using the special ability here on Procreate to take a rough circle and turn it into a perfect circle. I say this almost every week. That the ability in the app to make a perfect circle or make a straight line is one of the best things. Because whenever I suggest that people draw, and I suggest that you draw, people will sometimes say to me, "I can't draw a straight line." My reply often is, "Neither can I. Straight lines are really hard. Don't." That's why it's great to have tools. It's great to have. I got a couple of rulers always at hand. I use this app which allows me to take my rough straight line, kind of a straight line, and make it a straight line, and maybe a perfectly perpendicular or horizontal line. So helpful. All right. I'm looking here and I realize that unless I want the feeling to be that I'm bald, I need to put some, at least, nods to hair. Now, I can't tell you why, but I can tell you that in throughout most of this year, I spent a lot of time drawing stuff that is spellcasting, in particular necromantic, in style. And I can't tell you because it's for a project for a publisher that has not been announced yet. Which I'm very excited for them to announce sometime, probably next year, I hope. Because of that, that's also making this drawing a lot quicker for me. Because I'm falling back. As I was saying before about mouth shapes and other things, when you draw something a lot, you begin to create a vocabulary, a visual vocabulary for yourself of that thing and things like it. And I had to come up with a lot of these necromantic slash spellcasting ideas. And now it's much easier for me to just whip out a generic one for no reason other than the dice told me I have to. Weirdly, I didn't think about this. I'm giving him what I usually draw as my Santa boots. These are, I don't imagine Santa's a necromancer, but I guess a necromancer can like Santa's boots, Santa's fashion style. All right. Looking good. I'm liking how this is coming out so far. We'll handle those spell effects in the color section. All right, but what's on the amulet? I guess maybe we will... Here we go. Do a shape like that, and then come back with the eraser. Those horns are this looking like a dog more than anything else. Let's undo that. Tell you what, I'm going to change my mind on that, and I'm going to say we will instead do an octopoidal kind of shape and still come in with the eraser, and so make it Cthulhuid. There, like that. Alright, let's turn off the sketch layer, and see what we've got. That's actually a lot cleaner than I imagined it would be. Good job, Stan. Sometimes you have to tell yourself nice things. Be kind to yourself. We just finished cleaning that up a little bit. Go. Again, kind of like I was talking about these lines here for showing the roll up. The under, you want to show that the folds are, the cloth is folding as it comes out and goes out a little bit. Put a couple of those little lines in there. It does a world of good. Okay, Necromancer Stan, about to take color shapes. We're going to go to the colors layer. I'm going to switch over to my gloaming brush. So I know that I'm going to need to wrap this up quickly, so I'm going to start talking about some of my outro stuff. One of the things that's going on right now, people who are enjoying this and say, hey, Stan, it's your birthday. It's your 60th birthday. What can we do? What kind of gift would you like? I usually don't ask for gifts any year. This year, I do have a gift that I want to ask for. And that is for you to go to newstandproject.com and check out the Kickstarter that I've got going on right now with my friend Owen K.C. Stevens. And it is for a calendar, a 2025 calendar featuring art that I did on my other show, 50 Years in a Dungeon. And it's here, I can even show it to you. I have a prototype. The prototype looks like this. And it is kickstarting right now and will be for the next couple of weeks. and it's very important to me that this goes well. And I would love it if you would go there, and even if you aren't going to pledge for it, and I'm not asking you to pledge for it, because I don't like saying to people, "Hey, what I'd like you to do is give me money." Even though I do want you to give me money. Um, but I only want people to back it because they want to back it, because it's a thing they want. If you don't want it, don't back it, for God's sake. But you can sign up to be told about it, which is helpful to me. It helps the algorithm decide to show it to more people. Also, you can share it, copy the link, and tell your friends about it. Tell your friends who like my art, or just like what's the word I'm looking for? Like fantasy art, fantasy cartoons. They're D&D fans. Maybe they know Steve Brown from back in the day when he was working on Dragonlance products. Yeah. So yes, my request for you as a birthday gift is to go and spread the word. Help me spread the word. Um, Now, I guess I'm gonna say, if you do like it, if this is the kind of thing you want, or you know people that do, maybe I am gonna ask you, if that's the case, then buy it, pledge for it. You can do add-ons of extras. Get it for a friend as a holiday gift coming up. It is important to me that this project does well, and that requires getting the word out and getting people to commit uh, to picking up the Kickstarter, to picking up the calendar. And I could use some help with that. Particularly, as I say, the reason I'm recording this early is I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be at a convention in Wisconsin for this whole, most of the time around my birthday, and and as anyone who has run a Kickstarter will tell you, every day is precious, and I'm not going to be able to focus on doing promotion for this while I'm out of town. So that's one reason why it would be super helpful to me if you would do that. You'd do that for me, to share the information, tell friends about it. So there you go. I'm leaving that link up there on the screen while I talk about this. Newstandproject.com will take you to the Kickstarter site. It would be super, super helpful to me if you all would help me to let the world know that I got a Kickstarter going on, and that there is this lovely calendar with my art that people can get and hang on their walls or put on their desks. I forgot. Move right to the cape without finishing his pants. Very often when I'm doing these characters who basically have costumes, this Necromancer thing is a costume, I like to use variants of the same color. So the pants are a darker variant of the black of the tunic and the hat. In real life, people very rarely dress in such coordinated color schemes. The same color, only 20% darker, 20% lighter. But in costuming, it's pretty common. go. Do the belt. Come back again for that gold for the buckle. The purple. I need a darker version of the purple for the inside of the cloak, cape. Here we go. I think already I can tell I'm going to be dropping the opacity on this because the colors are very, very intense. More intense than I had really intended. And let's see. It's a Necromancer, so we're going to use black for the magical effects. Maybe a couple of different shades of black. Is that working? Not the best magical effects I've ever done. I won't lie. I'm not loving that. I'm going to come back in here and add a little bit of color that I do. Mix it in with the white on my hair. But, yeah. On the whole, that's looking like Necromancer Stan. Hope you agree. What else do I need? I need to come in with a slightly darker purple instead of the full dark. No, I need a little darker than that. That's not looking right. There we go. And then a very, very dark. And what else? What else? Oh, the pants. Look at how many different variations of this red I'm coming up with. Darker than that. Ooh, I didn't do the hat. The hat needs a little shading too. Looking good. Looking good. Color on the hands, the fleshy parts. That sounds like something a necromancer would say. On the fleshy parts. Darker than that. Sometimes it's a little hard to know when you're getting ready to put the shady stuff in. You don't want it to be so dark that it looks like another color entirely, but it has to be dark enough that it stands out from the color that you're shading. Like here, that gold I thought was good, but the more I look at it, the less it's hard, or the more hard I see it is to notice. You want people to notice it, but not question it. Okay. I think All right, so now, though, I look at these and I want to... It's just a little too strong. The colors are too strong. They're overwhelming the lines a little bit. So I'm going to drop the opacity on those by about 5 or 10%. And 5% ought to do it. There we go. And we have ourselves, I'll come back here to my lines layer and my inking brush. And I can put a stand in the corner. That came out weird. I'm on the right brush? Yeah. All right. And there is my little Stan in the corner. And we have ourselves Stan the Necromancer. David says, May is the best month on the calendar. What is May? I don't remember. February, March, April, May. Oh, Spelljammer? Spelljammer is May. Look at that. Ooh. All right, so I am clearly saying Necromancer sends his date undead roses. Yes, they would definitely be black roses. Definitely be black roses. All right, so we've got ourselves... okay, hold on. Come on. Make it work. It's been a terrific birthday celebration here on the show. My 60th birthday. We did 3 drawings where I'm the star. We had Necromancer Stan. And before that, we had Stan the Dungeon Master. And before that, we had Dragonrider Stan. That was our show. As we say, celebrating the fact that, well, when I'm recording this in a couple of days, when you're watching this, that yesterday I turned 60. 60-year-old Stan. Here, as I said, my birthday wish is that you go to newstanproject.com, check out the Kickstarter. I'd love it if you bought it, but even if you don't, so if you buy it because you want to. The present I'm asking for is for you to go to buy it. You go to this. No, whoa. For you to go to the site and to click the like or tell me more, and then ignore the emails you get if you don't care. It so helps with helping to spread the word, with getting it out there, that I don't hesitate to ask for that. It doesn't. All it costs you is you will get email during this Kickstarter, and you can ignore that if you don't want to watch it. If you don't want to pledge it. Again, if you do want to pledge it, please do, and consider what a nice gift for friends, for a holiday gift you might give, because this is not going to be available in stores, not sold in stores, only through this Kickstarter, and I'm only printing as many as I need and a little bit more, because calendars, once January comes, the chances that I'll ever sell any extras I have drops to near zero. So if you like this, if you want this, go to the Kickstarter, find a way. And if you know someone who would like it, if someone in your life, a gamer, or someone that likes fantasy cartoons, or whatever, just someone who you think would find this amusing, consider buying them one. You can get more than one copy. So there you go. Oh, it's not just a wall calendar. There's also a desk calendar version. It's double-sided postcards. So you can get either or both, or neither, and just go and tell people about it. Help me tell people about it. Boy, is that helpful. Boy, is that, man, they say, that's the present I want. That's the present I want. Okay. Thank you, David, and Crafty Visage, and Dammit Victor, and who else was here? Dale was here. JJ was here. Thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate you stopping by as I tape this birthday special. As I say, this week I'm going to be in Madison. I keep forgetting. I either forget the name of the city or the name of the con every time I try and pitch it. I'm going to be in Madison, Wisconsin for Gamehole Con this coming weekend. In fact, right now, when this is aired on Thursday, I'll spend a lot of time at the Monte Cook Games area because they're friends of mine, and I hear they've got couches to hang out and sit in. I may have a few things with me that you can purchase. I also will be willing to do sketches for people. So, and I'll just be happy to meet you if you stop by and say hi. So please do. Other than that, I'm now going to take my leave of you. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Those of you who are watching live, have a good rest of your weekend. Those of you who are watching on Thursday or afterwards, have a good upcoming weekend. I will talk to you. This is 60-year-old Stan signing out and saying, good luck, whippersnapper.